Γεια σας και από μένα.
Hello everybody. Today I would like to present two cases of the work that we do at the Strategic Project Management Office of the American Farm School. As an introductory remark, I would like to say that this office tries to become an innovation mediator. We try to understand the new knowledge produced by the universities, try to understand the needs of the real economy, and we try to bring those things together. The first example, the first case, is a failure, and the second case is a success. Sometimes we draw better lessons from our failures, because when we're happy about our successes, we don't really care what happened and how we did it. Now, when I was preparing this presentation, I wanted to say a few things about why should we try to do those living labs? Why do we try to follow this European methodology? And the answer to this question is that according to our experience for the last 5 years, we understood and we firmly believe that the adoption of the digital technology, which is what is at stake right now for Greek farming, so the adoption of digital technology and its implementation to the everyday life of the farmers could be done only in certain circumstances. The first observation is that users are not single-faceted. We tend to face them as farmers. We believe that they behave as farmers 24/7. The answer is no, they're not just farmers. They are members of multiple communities, either football clubs or political parties, or they have different bars that they go. So all those different identities affect their behavior. The second factor is the key role played by the field agronomists. We keep discussing and mentioning innovation. Innovation means risk, equals risk. So we are asking our farmers to take risks without being at their side every single day. But who is at their side? The agronomists. Unfortunately, in Greece, agronomists sell PPTs, so they have every reason in the world not to try and reduce the use of all those supplies, but farmers trust them. So if we won't try to convince agronomists, we won't have any chance of success whatsoever. By visiting farmers once every 6 months and just saying to them, this is a nice idea, try and do it, this is not enough. And last but not least, we may talk about primary production. We are just talking about a link in the chain of added value. So pressuring those people about adopting the new technologies and the challenges also stem from all the other links in the chain. I have mentioned in the past the role of retailers, the last link, if you wish, of this chain, since they put pressure on their suppliers regarding the innovations, especially when it comes to the health of food and the environmental footprint. Nowadays, pressure for the adoption of innovation comes also from the link before the farmers, from the suppliers of the agricultural supplies. The price of all those products have increased tenfold, and we keep saying that it is due to the Ukraine war, but we know that this is something that has already started before the war. Of course, it was affected by the war, but this is not something new. So the prices of the agrochemical supplies give a reason to farmers to start considering alternative, innovative solutions. So, another way to ask the question is why should we care about living labs is to admit that this question in reality may be hiding another question. And I'm sure that a lot of my colleagues, especially the academics, ask that question to themselves. Are research organizations not enough? Why do we need the rest, since we already know the solutions? And the answer to this question is no, universities are not enough. Research organizations are not enough because the game is played at the diffusion of technology and of innovation. And the university's primary goal is not to diffuse and disseminate innovation. And we know that the academics are not assessed based on the dissemination of the results. They are assessed based on their publications and their research work, and not by how many times they go out in the field and meet the farmers. Moreover, universities create knowledge on a wide spectrum of topics, and therefore we need someone to be able and advise farmers what exactly do they need. They have to find the relevant piece of knowledge for this community. And in order for this circle to be completed, we need to have relationships of trust, and that trust, of course, is built through a permanent presence. And this is why I have talked about the importance of the local agronomists. Here in this picture, you can see our second experiment, our second living lab. They are the winemakers of Goumenissa. The person standing is a winemaker. The second from the right is an agronomist, and standing at the end of the picture is the agronomist, and on the left side we have the mayor of Goumenissa, of this city. And there are also two more winemakers, and at the left you can see Mr. Kechris, who is the producer of a wonderful Retsina wine called Kehribari. So let's start from our failure. Pieria 2020-2021. This is a very promising failure. We believed that everything would go well, but it was a tremendous failure. How we started to build relationship with the area. We tried to organize actions about the Olympus mountain tea and how we can use it in order to create an agro-touristic brand for this area. You can see the small map that it is near to the sea, so the mainstream tourism is an alternative source of income for young farmers, and it is easier for them to work on tourism than on the fields. So this living lab focused on the use and the growing of local leeks, because in the area there is this brand name which is related to the black pig, which grows there in this area, which is a traditional Greek animal, the black pig of Olympus. And you know that the Greek sausage, the Greek recipe for the sausage has, apart from pig, leeks. So why do we want to do all these things? Because the farmers in the area used to grow tobacco, which is a crop with a lot of difficulties. So we try to find an alternative crops for those people. The local mediator, there were two local mediators. The first person was the pig farmer, who would be the client of the farmers, and the second was a businessman in the food industry, a restaurant owner, and he was also active on a political level in the local area, so he had a political identity, a specific political identity for this area. And I know that the other mediator would like to use the name of the American Farm School and have the product for free. Anyway, which were the stakeholders, the local communities, a local cooperative that is not really active. It was dissolved, if we may say so, and some people of the area with their own different perspectives. So there was not a common way of thought, a common rationale. And the people who were not involved, the regional authorities were not involved at all, for political reasons also. Our goal was the one that I mentioned. We tried to replicate the successful brand of the Olympus Mountain Tea, and we wanted to do the same with the black pig. And we chose 3 farmers to try and start this living lab. 2 of them were also part-time industrial workers, and at the end of this living lab, one of them decided to open a taverna because he has been working 4 months and lives for the rest of the world. And the third person had internal problems and nagging from his parents, from his family. There were traditional old farmers, and one of the problems of the farmers in Greece is that parents do not give the land to their sons in order to be able to have a saying in the decisions, and the young farmer abandoned everything and followed the advice of his traditional daddy. So what we tried to do, first of all, we have created a digital infrastructure that would allow us to disseminate the work of the pilot project. We used the LoRa telecommunication systems, and we combined it with the advice of the agronomists on a weekly basis, not only on field but also digitally, remotely. And in order to make this effort more environmental friendly, we started helping them by offering biostimulants and composting in order to use less fertilizers. Now, we made our effort, but why was it a failure? What went wrong? The community, because I've told you that the local administration supported this effort, but they did not utilize this infrastructure. And the only way to utilize it, especially when it comes to the small dumps that we have in the area, was to leverage money from the region. The region kept its distance from this living lab due to political reasons, so the infrastructure was not used, was not utilized, so we were not able to create profit for the community. If we had succeeded in creating a profit, it would be only for the farmers, the participants. Our results, our financial results were not good, and the reason why what happened was because the farmers were not willing to take advice for us, and they had bad quality of seeds. Since they keep it from previous crops, they don't give money in order to buy good quality seeds, so they had the wrong seeds for these crops, because their seed was for leek that's supposed to be cooked, and not the leeks with a lot of flesh that are supposed to be used on an industrial basis, so to say. Secondly, they used the existing technology, the technology that they had, and they tried to grow leeks based on the practices that they have been using for tobacco plants. So they had the yield was not as it could have been, and they did not use the compost. Maybe sometimes we understand that what is given to us freely, we cannot appreciate it. Now, the financial results, even if the local innovation mediator kept his word and bought the leeks, the results were not good enough in order to give motive to the farmers to repeat this effort. I'm afraid that your time is off, and the clock has been already ticking. In Goumenissa, however, things were much better, because we have learned from our mistakes and we did not repeat them. Thank you very much.